Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to another episode from the living world of darkness, Rage Across New York. Today's scene is set not only on the Sept of the Green, but at the Seeker's cabin, where Felix has been made comfortable on the porch, and 10 Point has taken herself a seat on the top step. And they've probably been there for a bit now, chit-chatting, him teaching her about the Weaver. Because, yeah, them lures, though. But at this point, I imagine they've gotten to where, you know, he's got his tea or coffee or whatever have you, and yeah, they are just out on the porch chit chatting about that their Weaver. Mostly Felix chit chatting and 10 Point listening attentively.
So you see, the difference between a geomid and a stasis vector is that a stasis vector is actually more corrupted and is actually definitively evil. That's where a geomid really is just an information terminal when you think about it. So, but you can see the effects combat-wise, monumentally different.
Blink. Nod. So the geomids are the ones we saw when we went to the cyber realm, as opposed to the ones that attacked the Sept.
Right. They look almost identical, but there's just that little bit of a difference.
I find the difference to be very subtle, Yev.
Mm-hmm. I say though, aside from that, you know, last time I told you about the net spiders, and of course, you know, you've seen the hunter spiders and the pattern spiders. Oh, there's just so much out there. So much out there.
And eventually the cabin door will kind of just slowly swing open. And the first thing you see is the big mound of thick black curly hair coming out, like the head just sticks out. Like Aiden's curious, like, you know, squinty eyes peer out basically to see who the fuck is talking basically on this cabin floor.
And there goes 10 Point on her back. Took like 3 seconds max.
Felix just rears his head to see Aiden.
Felix? Jesus.
Aiden!
What are you doing here? He's kind of like comes fully out in a pair of boxer shorts and t-shirt. He still has the gigantic club basically.
He looks at 10 Point for a second and then looks back at Aiden. I'm just teaching your metis about the Weaver.
Teaching me menace, are you? Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Good knowledge to give. Mind if I join it?
By all means. This is your turf after all.
If you notice when Aiden walks out, he's wearing deer slippers.
Oh shit.
And he will walk down and sit down in one of the chairs. And I mean, these look like really fluffy deer slippers. Like properly, they look snug as fuck. So, you know, as he puts his cigarettes and lighter on the table.
10 Point's still chilling on her back. Just, you know, hanging out.
He kind of look up at her and kind of like click his fingers indicating for her to rise, basically.
Oh yeah, with the click, she'll go ahead and heave herself back up into just a comfortable sit. Good evening, Raya.
Evening, 10 Point.
Has any word been given by the Philodoxes?
Shakes his head. Nothing yet. I gotta figure out what to give William White for right of contrition, but as far as punishment goes, I'm not involved in that, I don't think.
Yep, you're still there. You're there now.
Yay.
Sorry.
I have a notion, Raya, but first I'll have to see if I can successfully create the Talon.
We'll see. If not, I'll just give him a shitload of peyote and just shrug.
Talon, peyote. I'm sorry, I zoned out for a second there.
I have to do a right contrition with will and might.
Huh.
Do you know how from True Catcher? We had a meeting about it. About him attacking me.
Right.
Fucking whitewash, so it was. He just shakes his head.
Can you hear me?
They,
Yep, you're still there.
Oh, yeah, I can hear it. Yeah.
Whew.
Aiden has just looked to Felix. They questioned why the Fianna pulled all the kinfolk into the castle.
Isn't it obvious?
Yeah, and they gave out to us for it. And I replied with, well, what would you do if your tribe was declared war on? He kind of like spreads his hands, you know? But mind you, though, isn't that True Catcher Child of Gaia?
Yeah.
Yeah, he just nods, almost going, that explains fucking everything.
Huh.
Politics, Felix, politics.
Oh. So, awakened peyote, huh?
Might get him a peyote, I don't know. Or Talon. If a Talon works, a Talon works. I just want to get it fucking over with. So I don't have to look at his face anymore. So,
Yep. Welcome to my world.
see him whipping out, see him stomping around the place like he's the new man since he became fostering for someone who doesn't say Raya that often. You know? I don't know. Dave just shakes his head. Don't mind me. I'm just, whatever. At least he's been punished anyway. Like, fuck.
What's happening to him?
Don't know yet. The file docs are going to decide, which means Jacob Bry's going to get involved, which means he'll probably get a snuggle rather than a slap.
Fucking politics.
It's nothing to do with politics or soft. That's all it is. Joe will probably smile and hug him. The only one I think who might reasonably do her job properly is that Bonar. Do you know the one who spoke at the mood?
Yeah.
She has the least bit of balls in her, like.
I haven't formally met her yet.
She's surprisingly resilient for a Bonar. Got a good voice on her. Do you know?
Yeah, no, I've come to know a pretty good one myself. Don't know if you've met Shady Side Up.
That's the Ragabash, isn't it?
Hmm.
Haven't met her yet. Want to, though. She's partner, right, love?
Yeah. She's got a spirit to her.
She's lupus, isn't
Yep.
she? Jesus. That might be interesting, alright. And how's things been with you then, Felixy Felix?
Things have been. Oh my god, I can't even. I feel like I'm on top of the world, you know? The just yesterday, oh man, I can't. I don't. I can only imagine how things are between you and.
Aye, they're good. Yeah, they're good. Mad.
I,
Catching him before he finishes, basically, so 10 Point doesn't go, huh?
Oh, 10 Point is just kind of studying the ground in front of her right now. She has pointedly removed herself from this conversation.
Oh, they're good. They're really good. Getting used to it, do you know what I mean?
Mr. and Mrs. Lynch.
She moved in with you yet?
I didn't. I don't want to rush it, but I'd be lying if I said I hadn't thought of it.
Just give her a key, that's fine. You know, she can come in and out as she pleases. Independency, I think that's what they like. That's what they say they like, anyway. Because smirks.
I don't know. She's different.
Aye. No, that feeling hard. He kind of taps him on the shoulder like, I know, bro, I know.
And it's just, everything I thought I knew. Reason goes out the window. It's.
You're in love, that's why. I can tell. It stinks off you.
Stinks, does it?
Oh, yeah. You have the big dazzling look in your face.
And he brings a hand up to his face to try and wipe away the grin he's got.
Aiden smirks and shakes his head. He'll kind of look around. So, how's the Weaver lessons going on?
Good. Yeah, we were just talking about spiders and stasis vectors.
Yeah, those things are fucking lethal. Change it back into brood form, don't they?
They do. It's strange because, like I was telling 10 Point, there's really only a very subtle difference between them and geomids.
Oh, all right. Was it the Jamins? Were those things we saw in the fucking that place?
The cyber realm, yeah.
Yeah, fucking hell. What were those dogs that were chasing us? Like, what the fuck were they? You said they fell to the worm or something? A weaver or whatever?
I don't think I don't think I'm ready to talk about that yet.
Oh, I see. Snob.
There's much I don't know about the Fianna, so
Perhaps just a term for them, yes.
they go by the name Cyber Dogs.
Thank you. Oh, God, both of you. Don't worry, no matter how much you smile, I know you've still got that club right next to your chair.
Oh, yeah, he does.
Hugs it lovingly as he thinks about his sweetheart.
He's just, reflexively just stroking just rubbing his hands up along the back of it, basically,
What do you make about this whole mess with Binding Tempest?
He just starts laughing. She fucked herself.
It would have helped Yef if she had spoken the truth on the matter.
Ah, yeah, she's telling Porkies.
Spoken the truth.
Ah, yeah. Tell her 10 Point.
At my shrine, at the one that I crafted for the Hind, a number of elemental spirits have gathered, and they linger there, as they find it to be a safe place, and I've offered them hospitality. And as I have been there, and as they have lingered, I noticed that the wind spirits had become unhappy, and began to offer them chiminage to please them, so that it would not be to the ill effect of the sept. Recently, with the call from Alana to offer chiminage, I spoke to them, asking why she would ask this. and was told that she was in a heinous depth of chiminage and that she had made a deal in an attempt to repay what she owed. And that if her chiminage is not paid and she is not successful, she will be claimed by the North Wind. And she has dramatically spoken about how her life is on the line, but has not confessed to the fact that the purpose of forcing the Sept to offer chiminage is to repay a debt that she herself owes. And she actually gives she raises her eyes a little bit to make sure that Felix sees the sincerity of her expression, because she knows that wasn't the only name she was given.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, is she making it obvious, or do I have to peony?
I'm not gonna make you peony. She has no subterfuge at all.
Yeah,
so she just makes a point of lifting her head enough. Like, she's not gonna make straight eye contact, but she does make a point of lifting her head enough and looking him straight on enough that he can see that she knows.
So, yeah. She's not the only one. Well, when it comes to the North Wind, she's the only one. I don't understand that part. We had a chiminage to pay and can still be paid.
Are you really going to be worrying him? I'd pay the chiminage on your own and to make yourself clear, Felix. Fuck her.
Of course. But
could you perhaps explain to me the original chiminage that was offered?
Of course.
Yes.
We were, I, along with the Wormfoe and Shady Side Up, had investigated with the other elemental spirits on Sept as to the going-ons. And when we had that meeting of the minds with the Theurges, when Broken Whispers suggested speaking with the wind spirits, or suggested speaking with Mother Larissa, when Binding Tempest and I spoke with Alana, or I'm sorry, when Binding Tempest and I spoke with Mother Larissa, she suggested contacting the wind elementals. We both couldn't believe it slipped our minds. And I summoned one, and we, in exchange for the information provided, we agreed to clear out this disturbance. They mentioned something of a yawning mouth of the river, which I believe to be in Lower Manhattan. Something about a wormish smog that needs to be cleansed.
Templata gives a blink or two and begins to look distracted come the term yawning mouth.
There's a split in the river. It surrounds Lower Manhattan and surrounds Manhattan upon being split. And I believe that at that point was where the yawning mouth is. I intend to... Yeah, like you said, Aiden, I intend to go down there and see what I can do.
I just find it interesting she's going around telling everybody what to do, and she's after fucking up herself. I think that's very interesting. She hasn't told anybody the full deal yet. She's there trying to order me and Bailey in to do it for her.
Speak his name and the devil shall come. Walking out from in the door to the cabin opens, and Bailey will come walking out. He's got looks like a catalog in his hands. kind of searching through it. And he's got a kinfolk kind of walking beside him with a pad of paper and a pen. And he's like, yeah, no, this might be a bit too much. We'll see. And he looks, oh, well, I didn't know we were having guests.
10 Point has not only trailed off mid-sentence when the door opens, but, of course, flops right the hell back down on her back.
Rain just gives a smile. Felix was given our little 10 Point some lessons in the Weaver to help combat them and all that.
He kind of looks over to Felix. I thought you were pro-Weaver.
I am. There's recent developments that I'm still researching, I'm still looking into, but at this point it seems that it's clear. Either we find a weakness and exploit it, or we go to war.
With the Weaver itself, or... I mean, forgive me if I'm wrong. We live in the center of a city.
Right. That's why I'm trying to find this weakness as quickly as I can, because to initiate a war is foolhardily.
If I may, Raya.
Mm-hmm.
She's obviously waiting for, permission to speak from Balin, or Aiden, or whoever.
Aiden's gonna wait for Balin, he's the beta.
Balin has muted himself. And yes, probably has real life things he needs to address for a moment.
Take over. Aiden just, sit there smoking a cigarette basically.
Balin who kind of stuck his head back in the catalog for a moment, looks back up and says,
She's still just quietly waiting.
Balin will, it's almost as if not even... Where is she actually?
She is on the ground, right at the top of the steps, laying on her back.
Almost nonchalantly, as if he doesn't even know she's there, Balin's going to kind of turn and walk over and place his foot on her throat. And then press. And just keep looking through his catalog.
She submits entirely to the gesture. There's no struggle. There's not even a movement, really. If anything, as his foot starts to come towards her throat, she lifts her chin.
So, you were saying, Felix?
Yes.
Center of a city seems a silly place to start fighting the Weaver.
Exactly. While I still have my leads, and I'm exploring one at the moment, it's a time-consuming process, and trying to do what I can to find this, like I said, a weakness to exploit. Just enough to call back some numbers. Just enough. Just enough to put our foot forward.
And what would be the largest number? What is their greatest concentration? What would be their strength outside the Sept?
Outside the Sept, they have their webs, and they have numbers. They vastly outnumber us.
10-point, meanwhile, is in a very quiet struggle to make her her narrowed breathing as inaudible as possible.
Hmm. Have you gone to the Wormfold?
I have.
Yeah.
I have. He is also at a bit of a loss. He wants things to go faster and doing what I can, but fuck.
That company, you have something though. That's one lead. Do you know?
Mm,
Balian kind of looks from Felix, then he looks down at his foot. Seems like the Wormfold might be able to think a bit better if he wasn't so worried about his rock.
Chia visibly withers.
I don't suppose you've gotten a chance to talk to it yet.
And she will be struggling a bit to speak. It'll be a little strained under the boot. But she will nonetheless answer. I have arranged a time, Raya.
Hmm.
Hopefully tonight, Raya. At worst tomorrow.
And with that, he nods and he'll take his foot off of her throat and step away from her and just kind of raise the foot. And if Kinfolk runs over with a wet nap and starts cleaning the bottom of his shoe where it was touching her, and he just looks over towards Aiden. If you had overpopulation of something, how would you call its numbers? And I'm assuming, and he kind of looks over towards Felix in such a way as to not alarm the overall population. Yes. Felix.
Mike might have given out again. Robbie, is your mic dead? There you go.
Just Robbie.
Oh!
Alone again.
No, don't want to be alone with you. No.
how you like me now?
Yes, much better.
How you like me now?
I think Torna's computer exploded too.
Oh no!
Did you hear any of what Balian said?
A little bit. He said, how would you call its numbers without something?
Yet without raising the alarm amongst the rest of the population.
That's what I'm trying to figure out now.
He kind of gestures over towards Aiden, and you were saying something about where it is spawning.
Yeah, where it reproduces, that's what they would do with any culling of any population, subtly. That company there, that's probably a mass point where they direct things in and out in terms of flow and energy. Hard. Might even know some of their basic operations at least. I'd say the best strategy at this stage. Open combat seems like a complete stupid idea, so hit them where they reproduce, hit them where they mass. Subtly, I think we might have a win.
I had proposed a thought on the matter, Raya. She kind of glances over to see if he's about to put his shoe right back on her.
He hasn't turned around.
I had proposed to Felix that perhaps, to Felix Yuff, that perhaps a way to draw its attention away from the Sept was to target places from where it draws power and draws the numbers that it has now to throw at us. Things like the towers you showed me, Yaf. It would perhaps upset the human population and be recovered soon enough because it is something they have learned to rely on. But the destruction of such a thing would probably force them to pull their numbers from the edges of the Sept to deal with the damage it does to them as well as the damage done in the Tellurian.
This is an interesting concept to me.
In non's an agreement. That could work, aye.
Give them something else to hit instead of us.
We had also given talk to the fact that the Weaver speaks in waves, in sounds that we cannot hear, in things that we cannot see. Perhaps there are similar things that can speak on such a level to disrupt their ability to communicate so that they cannot coordinate an attack. Perhaps if things like howls or a whale's song or a bat's scream were taken to the proper level to where it is beyond our hearing, but within the Weavers, such sound, such noise would keep it from communicating properly.
Bailey kind of gestures towards Robbie for a second, almost, or not Robbie, Felix for a second. With one hand, he's kind of, I'm remembering something. Hold on, because he's he gestures to one of his kinfolk. What was that awful movie you were watching the other night? The one with the aliens. The guys go, that was Independence Day, sir. Yes. That. He kind of waves his hand. Yeah. If all of this is technology-based, would it be possible to do something such as give it a virus? Something that could spread quickly amongst them. Nothing that would be too debilitating, but might take their attention away for a while.
Maybe, but I would require a lot more research. It's not an option I'd considered, seeing as how that's kind of their game. I'd have to really pull out all the stops to beat them at their own game.
Well, there's the saying that something about beating someone at their own game. But, as you say, many different ways you could attack this issue. You could do them all.
Another issue is the eye of the Weaver. It's everywhere.
Anyway, we can temporarily blind it.
Or give it something else to look at, as you said before.
Yeah, that can work.
And perhaps, Yaf, if this thing must be done, and you wish its eye not to be on you, others can be put in place to take that enmity for you.
At the same time, I don't mean to sound like a pessimist, but it's not necessarily possible. When I spoke with them about the state of things, one of the big points they brought up is that they're allocating their forces appropriately to make sure they have an eye on everything. So
we need to create a thing that makes them immediately go to it.
that's the thing, though. I don't believe that they could take their eyes off of us simply because it's their game right now. In order to maintain the order that the order that they perceive, they have to have eyes everywhere.
So, in a structured environment, what happens if you introduce something that causes chaos? Now, I know a certain pack who has these things, and hopefully the Wormfoe does his job and take them. If we release it in a controlled environment, we govern, wouldn't the Weaver be very preoccupied with a sudden wild appearance and gives us time? But a controlled environment, if what you're saying?
Theoretically, but this is the wild we're talking about.
Exactly. That's my worry.
Perhaps if not all of it is put to use, perhaps a drop here or there to draw attention, but not enough to wreak havoc that would break the veil, Raz.
It seems like a logical plan to me.
And perhaps if I am successful in appealing to the pigeons and achieving a proper bird's eye view of the webs, I can find points where it might be advantageous to create distractions or to start viruses or to do whatever you wish to do, Ryaz.
Maybe.
You just need to get the vials off the children of spirit wells first. He shakes his head.
Well, that's something that you and the Wormfoe wish to explore, then by all means, but I still have another angle I can work this at.
Well, I'm just making sure you have that angle, because knowing William might, he'll throw the vial in the middle of the city and just let it loose.
Mm.
So I'm trying to give you time, Felix.
Would it help, Raya, if I pressed upon the Wormfoe the importance of removing this unknown factor from the perspective of a Theurge?
Might help as well. Maybe you could give me a wee talk on up as well, since I brought it up to him and none of his guardians did.
I spoke with the Wormfoe on this, and he he seemed to express that, yeah, these vials need to be handled with care. Yeah, you can still hear me? All right. Can you still hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry.
Sorry. Felix takes a minute to look down and just rub his head for a minute. Or specifically his temples.
At least we're planning on it. At least we're getting a plan in anyway, you know. Well, Felix, maybe you should mention to my beta what you're about this little thing about Alana, and he'll smile wickedly.
Yeah. I was just telling 10 Point about the original Chiminage that was owed. That there's some Weaver smog I believe in Lower Manhattan. As always, the spirits spoke cryptically, and they mentioned the yawning mouth of the river. And like I said, I believe that would be a point in Lower Manhattan. So somewhere there's a wormish smog that's choking the wind elementals, and it was our task to cleanse it.
And this time again, 10 Point gives a bit of a tick at the mention of the yawning mouth, and then shoots a glance over towards Balian's feet. Raya, do you still have the words that I wrote when I woke recently?
He's still looking through the magazine or the catalog. He kind of looks up. What? Yes, they're written inside the cabin.
May I retrieve them, Raya?
Oh, absolutely. Before you go, if you were going to attend the funeral for a menace, which flowers would you send? And he opens up the catalog, and it's an FTD catalog.
Aiden actually smiles quite warmly.
She actually frowns slightly and answers perhaps a little hastily, saying, "For her, Raya, I would give none." And goes ahead and rouses and dusts herself off and tries to kind of slink past very carefully without making any physical contact to go and retrieve the paper.
Balian rolls his eyes and turns the catalog around. None. You can't send none. What kind of form is that? I'm thinking the horseshoe. What do you think, Aiden?
Horseshoe might be an interesting one. That could be a decent thing to do. Yeah.
I give up. He kind of puts the catalog to the side.
She'll emerge moments later, and at that point suggest, perhaps Raya order instead with her alpha in mind, as I imagine she is the one you would most want to influence with your choice.
Kind of narrows his eyes. Interesting.
And with that, she'll offer Felix a piece of paper that has the text in your messages on it. I had a dream not long ago when I woke to find both this, and she kind of gestures up to her head, and there's at closer examination, there's a tiny white mouse just kind of chilling, nestled up next to one of her antlers. And I also have this, and she pulls out I can't remember if I already did this. I don't think she did. So she pulls out a rag, or not a rag, actually, a proper little, if a bit worn, handkerchief that has kind of reddish-black, rusty stains on a corner. In the dream, I was taken back to the city through several ages until it was before even the kin of the pure tribes resided here. There was a man there with flame-red hair who addressed me as he was dying, spitting up this. She'll offer the handkerchief on the ground at my feet to where it splattered them, addressing me as an abomination. I think it was the memory of another. But he said that this was what he had learned, and this is what had been said to him in the caves. Perhaps it ties to your ode chiminage. I have not been able to find a reason for these words otherwise. What distressed me about this vision was that when I woke, the splattering on my feet was still there, and it is something thicker than blood. Do you know if you have the means to find out what this is.
And oh, yep, you can't hear me, sweet.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Felix's first instinct is to smell it, but since we don't have an ST present, I'll just say that he briefly sniffs it a little bit, and then says, "Do you mind if I borrow this?"
She will, in fact, pull a tidy little Ziploc baggie out of her swag and tuck it in there, seal it, and offer it.
Yep, and he'll take it and put it in a spider satchel. And then he starts to look over the words. This... Is this what the flame-haired man said?
He said that this is what had been told to him in the caves.
The caves.
But it seemed to be from a far, far older era. If it ties to your chiminage, then it may mean that the source of the issue is much older. He said as well that we had spoiled this place, this land, with our ambition. I don't know what to make of most of it.
Felix reads it once. Reads it a second time. And then when he rereads the first stanza again, he says, "Wait. Remember when I told you that I went with Skovgard and Shady to investigate the elemental spirits?"
Of course, Yev. And she settles back on the floor so that she's distinctly lower than the rest of them, even seated.
Well, there's this line here. Cracks in the earth, birthing hungry chills. When we spoke to the water elementals, they mentioned cracks forming deep in the earth that raised a coldness that froze some of its brethren. Having to do with that attack, the corrupted earth elemental, some time ago.
Is there more that they told you, Yev? I cannot help with this issue if I do not know all that has been learned already.
Only that, and that they assisted the fire elementals as one had gotten corrupted, and they snuffed it out. Anything that had been corrupted had mentioned a hunger. And this leads back to that spirit of catastrophe and the pit from long ago.
The one who drank from Gaia's veins and became corrupted, yes?
Yeah.
Then surely this ties into that. Yes.
It's good to finally have some direction on this again. He says, looking at it like a little bit bewildered, like with a very like inquisitive excitement that you imagine you'd see from like an archaeologist that just read an ancient text.
Well, if I were you, Felix boy, I'd make sure you yourself come out squeaky clean, because whatever's going to happen, it's on our hands soon. And smirk.
You may also keep in mind, Yuff, if you wish to pay your debts without affecting hers. I have already spoken to the wind spirits, and I continue to offer my chiminage. But I have made it clear to them that the chiminage I offer is between I and them alone, and has nothing to do with binding Tempest and her debt.
If I were you, I'd make sure that you pay yourself, square your debt, and leave her to hang. Politics, Felix, and smile.
I would be happy to help you in this, Yuff. Eager, even. I am very eager to have the disruption to the elemental spirits put to rest. And on top of that, I would very much like to see you succeed.
Felix nods and just says, "Thank you, Time Point. could definitely use a hand with it.
What were your friends, Felix? And smile over at Bailey.
Alien smiles and nods. Absolutely.
I'd planned on doing this sometime this week. Actually, I've been thinking about it more, and I don't know. I'll give you a ring when I learn more. But then that makes sense with this line.
Blink.
Pointing to the second half of the first stanza. Foul smells come from privileged smiles. Yawning mouth of the river is where the wormish smog is coming from. It's not a long shot. It could be referring to the same thing again. But what is this dance to the tune of fear in men's hearts? When weighed against the feather, the flock will burn. Weighed against the feather, the flock will burn.
I have heard the myth of having one's heart weighed against a feather. I don't know what the flock is, but suggesting that it will be found wanting. I had wondered perhaps if the privileged smiles, if the same taint, if the same foul smell came from those who are smiling and cutting ribbons and breaking ground to try to set the wells for Endron, because if that happens, yuff, it provides catastrophe a new place to feed.
We may have crossed purposes here. If we were to strike the Endron areas, there's a great deal of technology and machinery at these sites, yes?
Aye. High technology, high complicated drills, very, very advanced.
I remember that
Didn't
Tree
they?
Soraya was very impressed with them.
So if we were to attack these facilities and destroy this technology, it would weaken the Weaver, would it not, Felix?
Potentially,
And perhaps give it something else to think about other than us.
And it would deny catastrophe a feeding place.
I gotta say, I'm not really seeing a margin for error here.
Aren't you glad you talked to your friends, Felix? And he put his hands on his shoulder and squeezed.
Balian kind of places one hand out. You have the issue with the Weaver, and you need to weaken it. He takes the other hand, and you have the issue with Engron, and needing to weaken it. And then he takes the two hands and brings them together and claps them. And then you have the Sept that can do both at once. All you need is permission and warriors. He kind of looks to where the worm foe kind of hangs out, and there's only one person that can give you that.
And there are many who would rally behind the dual purpose.
I'll have to have a word with the Wormfoe then.
Right. Yeah. I think he'll be impressed with you this time.
Solving up to 3 problems at once, yuff. It would make you look wise indeed.
Oh, aye.
At the very least, it would make you seem efficient which I believe is a buzzword amongst the glasswalkers. No.
Yeah, we strive to be streamlined. All right. I gotta say, these last 3 lines, I get the sinking feeling that we're the flock. You dance to the tune of fear in men's hearts, and wait against the feather, the flock will burn.
The flock could refer to the humans. They are sheep-like enough, yes.
What was this tale you talked about? Meant weighing a feather against men's.
There is some aged human belief. I think she kind of knits her brow. I think perhaps a silent strider would know the myth better, but some sort of measurement for worth in the afterlife where one's heart is weighed against a feather.
Huh, that's like that ancient Egyptian thing, isn't it?
I've learned little about the world, Yelf, but much about beliefs.
I talked to a silent strider. How are you? Definitely.
I know that Broken Whispers is a silent strider. I'll bring it up to him.
Good idea. We want to bring in to pour out Sobek and kind of smirk.
I mean no disrespect to Sobek, but I think I'd rather take this one to Broken Whispers.
You see me fight him, actually, Felix?
I heard about it.
He looks over at 10 point. I knocked that fucking crap out of him.
Blink?
Remember Sobek, the strider? And he like flicks up the club perfectly, you know? Got right this in the skull.
Ah, yes.
And plus, he's a bit soft.
Sorry, say that again. I was sidetracked.
Yeah, basically just when Sobek's a bit soft, you know, kind of indicating yesterday.
She kind of winces. Perhaps not soft precisely, Raya, but certainly was not prepared for how well you favor the shillelagh, and certainly was not prepared to lose. He responded very poorly enough that it should be taken note of.
I don't mean soft as in his combat skills or his temper. I mean soft as in I don't think he understands how traditionalists work, I think.
No, not in the least. I will be wary, of course, Raya.
I trust you. He smirks. In a way. I know you're obedient. Smile, that menacing smile.
Oh, look at her hands. They're suddenly very fascinating.
I mean, he just kind of looks at Felix, you know, puts the club in his hand, if you want. You know, kind of unspoken word, you know what I mean? Felix,
Maybe if I had more time. I've been given a lot to look into, a lot to do.
Do you need something to ease the tension?
Well, you see, I bit more of an old-fashioned thing that I like to do.
I mean, all that rage, Felix, do you know? It's got to be building up, right? And frustrations, right?
Pour it into my work.
And do you not feel like as the club slowly slides and you can feel the wood against his hands? Do you not feel like you should just take your anger out on something, Felix, some days? Does it not get at you?
And Felix takes the club and he inspects it thoroughly. He even grips it some, the wood creaking in his hand.
He can tell that it's shiny and new and freshly lacquered.
And there's the notches fresh in it as well, carved in with a knife.
Well, I'll definitely keep it in mind. But thank you for the offer.
No problem, Felix. With a smile over at Balin.
Balian smiles. Even though you aren't part of the pack, Felix, as you don't currently have one, you can count on us should you require assistance.
Thank you. It means a lot, especially given the division on Sept in regards to the issues at hand.
They'll come around.
And Aiden will put his hands on Felix's shoulders. Just don't forget who your friends are, lad.
I know who my friends are.
A slight squeeze.
Balian kind of raises a hand, like palm up back behind him, and he's like, "Why is this empty?" And literally within minutes, a teacup with a saucer is placed in it. And starts to stir his tea. Can't get good help these days. He kind of looks over his shoulder. Looks over to Felix and to Aiden. Tea.
I'd love some. Would you like some tea, Felix? Maybe a squeeze.
Yes, please. And I'm going to roll some minute sub. And botch. At this point, Felix looks slightly uncomfortable.
Bailey just kind of looks over at Felix. It's no disrespect to say you are not interested.
No,
Tea's not everyone's thing.
No, I'd love tea.
Do you want something stronger, Felix?
No, it's fine. Tea's good. Stronger things still to the senses.
You're very tense, lad. Are you alright? He kind of like, tap the back of his head, you know what I mean? He's very, feels it touchy,
Just got a lot on my mind. Gotta had this song stuck in my head.
Does it start with Uga Chaka?
As a matter of fact, it might.
Well, if you need to take the stress out, Felix, he'll smirk over at 10 point. I have a strategy, and he'll let go of him finally and pour some tea for himself.
Her hands are still incredibly fascinating. Who'd have thunk?
Well, it sounds like a good one, I gotta say.
You should try it. I mean, it's surprisingly stress relieving as the spoon goes in and stirs.
Hmm. Well, like I said,
Why I'm so calm the whole time, Felix?
I'll have to take you up on it. But
No problem at all, Felix. Maybe we'll go two of us together hunting. And smirk with this devil smile. Crazy 10 point nose look.
Why do you think she's not looking? She can hear it.
God. Crazy times, am I right? Crazy times. But at the end of the day, it's what we all came here for, isn't it?
Why? He need to sit there with his deer slippers, cross-legged, sipping his tea, with a big smirk on his face.
It's good. I don't know about everyone else, but where I come from, things are a little more difficult to get done. And here, there are a lot more channels and avenues, and I can see it. I can see the progress in front of me. I can build it with my two hands. Fuck yeah.
Considering the way conversation has been flowing back to it several times now, 10 point is going to make a preparatory move in that she will be spotted gently coaxing the mouse out of her hair and off of her antler. And we'll, while they're talking, we'll reach down over the edge of the porch with the little mouse in hand and tuck it up under the steps where she's got some nesting materials she's laid out for it long since.
Oh.
Just seems like, good idea at the moment.
Alien kind of takes another sip from his tea and then just kind of rolls his shoulders. Oh, I have some research to do.
As do I.
So I am aware. Gentlemen. And he'll stand up, nod to each of them, and he'll disappear back into the cabin.
Emil, finish his tea and pick up the club and, give Felix like a slap on the cheek, very playfully. Don't be a stranger, Felix.
Never.
He'll swagger back into the cabin after Balian.
And only once the door is shut does 10 point breathe an audible sigh of relief. Thank you again for your time, yes. The lesson is much appreciated.
He nods and says, thank you for this. And pats a spider satchel and offers the paper back to her.
If it will help you to have it, I've made several copies.
Oh, well, don't mind if I do. Puts it in the spider satchel. Anyways, sounds like you guys have your hands full. I'll go ahead and take my leave.
As you like, Geth. Until we see you again.
And he offers her a polite semi-bow. And pops his earbuds in before heading back off sept.
And with 10 Point unexpectedly left to her own devices and free of vicious beatings, she will go ahead and, once he's headed off, will revert to Breed, giving herself a shake and slink under the porch to join her little mouse buddy. And unless someone's going to do more shenanigans, I'm going to say thank you, players, for playing and watchers for watching. And we will see you next time in an episode from Living World of Darkness, Rage Across New York.